Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at, well, a truly extraordinary journey. It's all about transformation, resilience, and this relentless pursuit of self-mastery.
That's right. We're drawing from these powerful excerpts from Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins.
Yeah, and our mission here is really to unpack the insights. How did one person overcome just immense adversity, keep pushing boundaries, and maybe more importantly, how can you apply some of these lessons to your own challenges?
It's going to be fascinating. What's really striking is how Goggins just lays it all bare. His origins showing that this kind of grit, it isn't just something you're born with, it's forged.
Forged in fire, seems like.
Exactly. We're going to dig into how those earliest really tough experiences fundamentally shaped the incredible mental fortitude he developed later.
Okay, so to really get a grip on Goggins' resilience, we need to go way back. 1981, first grade. What was life like then? Set the scene for us.
Well, it was a childhood just marked by constant struggle. I mean, at only 6 years old, he's already working nights at his father's roller rink, Skateland.
6 years old.
6. And dealing with chronic sleep deprivation because of it. He literally used his school desk as a pillow. Just trying to stay awake in class. It paints a pretty vivid picture.
And a hidden life, too, right? School was like a temporary escape.
Kind of. Yeah, he talks about recess and PE being like a minefield because he had to hide bruises. Showing them meant more beatings later. So school was the one place his father couldn't physically get to him.
Wow. And his father, David Goggins, he sounded like quite a character.
Oh, formidable. And manipulative. By age 20, he already owned a Coca-Cola concession, 4 delivery roads in Buffalo. Then he built Skateland, one of the first roller rinks there, and later a bar above it, the Vermilion Room.
And that's where he met David's mother.
She was just 19, first time away from home. He was 36.
And Goggins mentions his father used religious language, charm, the son of a minister.
Yeah, used that to draw people in. But it was a facade. David and his brother, Turnus Jr., they were put to work at Skateland every single night. David, 6, organizing skates, spraying that deodorizer smell, he says, stuck with him for hours.
Polishing the floor with a mop twice his size.
Right. And his brother worked the concession stand. It was basically child labor.
But his mother tried to keep things looking normal.
She did, cooking full dinners on electric burners in the back office every night. But Goggins calls it a permanent state of denial. The reality was his father controlled absolutely everything.
Everything. No money for her, no bank account.
Nothing in her name. The family never earned a single cent for all that work. He controlled it all.
And this control extended beyond the family, didn't it? This unofficial mayor persona.
Oh, yeah. He used that manipulative charm on customers, too, giving away free drinks so they'd buy more. Goggins says his father just saw them as dollar signs.
Okay, this is already intense, but it gets worse, right?
Yeah.
His mother's realization about his father.
It deepens dramatically. She finds him with a prostitute, one of, quote, the girls in his stable, on the Skateland office sofa. The same sofa where she sometimes tucked the kids in.
Oh, my God.
And the woman apparently just smiled at her. It just underscores this incredibly degrading, desperate situation.
So desperate that even a security guard told her she needed to leave.
Begged her to leave. But she was trapped. No independent means at all. And because his father refused to actually marry her, she had no rights to community property.
He treated, as Goggins puts it, his hookers better than the mother of his sons. Locked her in this cycle.
And the violence just escalated. Became this chilling routine. His father stroking his leather belt, dragging her downstairs, beating her.
And David, at 6, tried to intervene.
Can you imagine? Jumps on his father's back, yelling, "Don't hit my mom," and just gets beaten himself for it.
And there was a protocol for these beatings. That sounds horrifying.
It really does. Going to his dark bedroom, undressing, lying across the bed, exposed. He says the anticipation, the waiting, was the worst part.
Beyond the beatings, there was neglect, too, like the earache incident.
Yeah, a severe earache, blood actually dribbling down his neck. But his father refused to spend money on doctors or dentists. No health insurance. Just refused.
So what was the turning point? What finally pushed his mother to act?
Well, that ear incident maybe sparked something. Her courageous act was driving him to the emergency room anyway, peeling out of the driveway while his father tried to stop them. A real moment of defiance.
A crack in the control.
Exactly. Though interestingly, his brother, Turnus Jr., his coping mechanism was different. He feared his father, but also kind of worshipped the man, Goggins says, ignored the beatings. The truth was just too heavy for him to carry.
The fear must have been constant, that story about returning home one summer.
Age 8. He triggers the alarm by accident. His father comes downstairs with a pistol.
A pistol?
Yeah, and aims it right between David's eyes. Goggins says in that moment he felt exhausted, sick of Skateland, and just didn't care if he lived or died. That level of despair at age 8.
That's unbelievable. It explains why his mother considered
The ultimate desperate measure.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost murdering his father with his own .38 pistol. Her brothers talked her out of it, but they saw how urgent it was. She had to get out.
And the escape plan finally came together, with help from a neighbor.
An old neighbor, Betty. She advised his mother to plan meticulously for weeks. The key was getting a credit card co-signed by his father.
How did she manage that?
Played the role, Goggins says. The 19-year-old beauty with stars in her eyes got his trust. And that credit card felt like a golden ticket.
The escape itself wasn't smooth sailing, though?
No, harrowing. The car breaks down near Erie, Pennsylvania. His mother's hysterical, calls Betty, who somehow calmly gives instructions. They're carrying their clothes in black trash bags. Just the picture of desperation.
But they made it to Brazil, Indiana.
Yeah, after repairs, driving all night, they pull up to his grandparents' old wooden house. His mother just weeps. And Goggins, even at 8, he understood. They were finally free from the devil himself. What a foundation for a life.
Okay, so they land in Brazil, Indiana, 2nd grade. A completely new world for Goggins.
Totally different. He's at Annunciation, a small school. Sister Catherine taught 1st and 2nd grade together, and she had this no excuses mentality.
But she was also dedicated to figuring out how he learned.
Exactly. She saw he needed repetition, which, compared to the chaos before, was huge. But financially, things were still incredibly tight.
Right, living in public housing.
Yeah, a tiny 600-square-foot apartment. Cost $7 a month. His father sent like $25 sporadically for child support. His mom worked at a department store, took university courses. They even lost welfare because they owned a car.
But there were these small moments of relief, like the penny jar.
Yeah. A habit his mother picked up from her father during the Depression, just collecting loose change. And apparently it saved them when they were literally broke. No money in the bank. Those pennies added up.
The emotional scars were still there, though. Therapy didn't click for him.
No, he disliked group therapy, refused Ritalin, said the other boys were crazy. And while Sister Catherine was patient, another teacher, Mrs. D, had this keep up or get out attitude that made him feel totally backed into a corner.
So just as things maybe start to feel a bit stable, tragedy strikes again. Wilmoth's murder.
Yeah, awful timing. 1989, the day after Christmas, Wilmoth was the man he and his mother were actually planning to move in with in Indianapolis. Shot 5 times in the chest, then a kill shot between the eyes. He was only 43.
And Goggins' reaction?
Pure rage. Punched the refrigerator, left a dent. Just overwhelmed. The police never figured out why Wilmoth was killed. Maybe a shady business deal, drugs, they didn't know.
And Goggins, at 14, walked through the crime scene.
Yeah, just wandered through it while it was still active, saw the pooled blood, police, family, nobody stopped him. He was just observing.
Wilmoth was supposed to be his mother's savior. His death must have hit her hard.
Devastatingly hard. And after that, moving back to Brazil, Goggins felt this new wave of insecurity. And he started experiencing racism as a teenager, something he hadn't really noticed as a kid.
And this insecurity played out in things like basketball tryouts.
He was crushed when he barely made the JV team. He blamed it on how society seemed to be changing, feeling judged, insecure. He was definitely at a low point, a real crossroads.
But this is where things start to shift, isn't it? The seeds of the armored mind philosophy.
Absolutely. He hears this story from Scott Gearin about surviving something seemingly impossible, transcending adversity, and it clicks. He decides, okay, I'm enlisting in the Air Force after graduation.
But first, reality check. A letter from school.
Yep. Excessive unexcused absences, a D average. Basically, you're not graduating if this continues. A real wake-up call.
And this leads to the accountability mirror moment.
Yeah, it's the one. Pivotal. After a shower, he just stares at himself in the mirror, and he hates what he sees. Describes himself as a low-budget thug with no purpose and no future.
And he talks to himself.
He lectures himself. Hard. Tells himself, nobody is coming to save your ass. It's up to you. And this becomes this new ritual.
That accountability mirror concept is so powerful. What do you think is happening there psychologically? How does that kind of raw self-honesty actually lead to change for someone?
Well, it's not just self-talk, is it? It's active self-confrontation. He's externalizing that inner critic, but turning it into a tool. No more excuses. It's about radical ownership of where you are right now. For you, listening, it means facing your own stuff, Not to beat yourself up, but to pinpoint exactly what needs work
Yeah.
and then deciding, okay, I'm responsible for fixing this. It builds that roadmap out of the self-taught swamp.
And it clearly worked for him. His whole approach to learning changed.
Completely. Even though he thought he wasn't smart enough, he got obsessed, developed a system: transcription, memorization, and recall. Spent 6 hours taking notes for every 1 hour of tutoring.
And used Post-its on the mirror?
Yeah, for study goals.
Yeah.
Right there on the accountability mirror. It's brilliant, really. Constant reminders.
And this focus, this purpose, it even changed how he dealt with racism.
It did. Living with purpose, studying, working out, it kind of dissipated that resentment. Yeah. He started seeing their behavior as coming from their own insecurity and insults. They just became more fuel for his fire. He learned to basically flip negativity into motivation.
Okay, so post-high school, armed with this new mindset, the goal is Air Force Pararescue, PJ.
Right. But things didn't exactly go smoothly there either. He started at 175 pounds, but over his 4 years in the Air Force, he ballooned up to nearly 300 pounds.
300 pounds.
Yeah. Describes himself as a sorry fucking sight. Said he had to sew an athletic sock into his pants to stop them splitting.
And he ended up working pest control.
Hated it. Dead rats, roaches, raccoons, disgusting. But he saw it as honest work, which is interesting because earlier in boot camp, he actually found purpose cleaning latrines. Became the latrine queen. Shows that need for purpose, even in gross jobs.
But pararescue requires swimming, and that was a huge hurdle for him.
Massive. Never learned as a kid, poverty, you know. He had to improvise this fucked up backstroke just to pass a Boy Scout merit badge, swimming a mile somehow.
So despite the physical potential, he didn't make it through pararescue training.
No. He was pulled from the program because he has sickle cell trait, which, for anyone listening who doesn't know, it's a genetic blood condition where red blood cells can deform under stress, like extreme exertion or altitude. Makes that kind of intense training incredibly risky, potentially fatal for him.
Ah, okay, so it wasn't just quitting.
Medically disqualified. But back then, he felt like a quitter. He called himself that. He ended up serving in Tactical Air Control Party, TACP. They coordinate air support for ground troops, but he says he was never proud of it. Felt like fear was running his life.
And then things really hit bottom.
Yeah, rock bottom. 300 pounds, deep in debt. His wife Pam had left. He just felt like a total loser.
But then an epiphany from TV.
Kind of funny, right? Watching some show, he saw himself reflected in it. Uneducated, no real-world skills, zero discipline, dead-end future. And instead of despairing, it woke him up. Like, really woke him up.
And the new goal became Navy SEALs.
A relentless pursuit, calling recruiters all over the country, saying he'd move anywhere. Most just laughed at him. Way too heavy.
Until one didn't.
Stephen Sheljo. The recruiter who saw the drive past the weight. So the weight wasn't an issue. That one person believing in him was crucial.
Then came the divine intervention moment with cockroaches.
Yeah, at the pest control job. An infestation, and then a raccoon lunged at him from a dumpster. And it just hit him. When was enough truly going to be enough?
Yeah.
He quit right then and there, went for a run, lasted 400 yards, collapsed.
Ouch. But that wasn't the end of it.
Nope. He goes home, puts on his old VHS of Rocky, gets inspired by the whole pipe dream idea, go in the distance, immediately dumps the comfort food chocolate shake he was drinking.
Oh, like right then.
Right then. And goes back out and runs a full mile. That immediate action, that small step, it was the catalyst.
And then the training got serious.
Oh, yeah. Rocky soundtrack on repeat. Visualizing BUDS, it's the basic underwater demolition SEAL training, the insane selection course. He starts shedding weight, gets down to 250.
Next hurdle, the ASVAB test, the military entrance exam.
Yep. He basically begged the testing officer for another shot, scraped through with a 65 overall, but crucially, got the 50 he needed in the key area, called his mom crying, "I'm going to be a SEAL."
And to prepare for BUDS, he did this winter training.
Wild stuff. Wading into an icy pond in Indiana in December, camel pants, T-shirt, boots, gets out, runs until the T-shirt freezes solid to his chest like Rocky in downtown Philly, he says. He was ready for pain and purpose.
It wasn't just physical prep, was it? It was mental.
Totally. Deliberately scheduling suffering to build that mental resilience, which ties right into his philosophy of building an armored mind.
Like his challenge, #3, do uncomfortable things.
Oh, exactly. Regularly do stuff you know is good for you, but you don't want to do. Start small, make your bed, do the dishes immediately, then build up. It's about actively targeting your weaknesses.
Can you break down why that's so effective? Starting small.
It's about building momentum and proof. It's not just a chore list, it's training your brain. You're seeking out the edge of your comfort zone deliberately. Say you hate making cold calls for work. Maybe you start by just asking a stranger for the time. Small, uncomfortable win. Then maybe initiate a brief chat with the cashier. These micro-victories stack up. They build calluses on your mind, making the bigger, scarier things feel less impossible. It generates real bravery, expands what you believe you can handle.
Okay, so he gets to BUDS and Hell Week. He describes it as medieval.
The Devil's Opera. Instructors like Psycho Pete just reveling in their suffering, hosing them down with freezing water, constant insults,
And
threats.
the bell, the quitting ritual.
Yeah. Dates back to Vietnam. Bring it 3 times, place your helmet down, you're done. But for Goggins, he said, every clang sounded like progress. Meaning, someone else quit, he was still there.
And he didn't just endure Hell Week, he led.
He did. Led Boat Crew too. Proved himself. Apparently even stole the Hell Week schedule somehow. All 6 guys in his crew made it through, won every race, got the brown t-shirt that signifies you passed Hell Week.
That leadership, dominating the standards, sounds like his challenge #4.
Spot on. Using excellence as a weapon, set such a high bar, outperform everyone so decisively that you basically disarm any negativity or competition. He lived that in Hell Week.
And the armored mind, in practice, like hiding injuries.
Had a fucked knee, pneumonia during BUDS, but at medical checks he refused to show pain, refused to grimace, had this unspoken don't ask, don't tell thing with the staff.
And during groundproofing, Psycho Pete challenging him.
Yeah, daring him to tie knots underwater on one breath while splashing water in his face. Goggins says he tapped into his calloused mind, pushed past the panic, engaged his sympathetic nervous system, basically willed his body beyond its normal limits.
He really sees physical training as a mental battlefield.
The perfect crucible, yeah. For managing your thoughts. He stresses pushing hardest when you least want to. That's how you callous your mind, override that internal governor screaming at you to stop.
But this level of resilience has a cost.
Immense. He talks about a moment when his wife, Pam, got pregnant. The stakes felt higher. He broke down talking to his mother, realizing his past self-rejection. He had to make peace with himself, accept his father's influence, but use it as fuel. Framed it like, okay, I'm running a 100-mile race with a 50-pound rock while others run free. It's fuel, not an excuse.
And he contrasts himself with others, like Sean Dobbs.
Right. Dobbs was this naturally gifted athlete, talked a big game before Hell Week. But Goggins says when shit got real, Dobbs' mind just broke. He quit over perfectly healthy feet. It highlights that mental toughness trumps raw talent when things get truly hard.
Hellick also had tragedy. John Scopp's death.
Yeah, awful. Scop was a specimen. Physically impressive, but sick with pneumonia. Sank during a caterpillar swim exercise. Medics couldn't save him. Hell Week ended 36 hours early because of it.
And Goggins himself finished Hell Week seriously injured.
Small stress fractures in both shins, on crutches, but still needing to run up to 60 miles a week for the next phase of training.
So how did he manage that?
Duct tape. Showed up early every single day, wrapped his lower legs in 2 layers of socks, then 2 layers of duct tape to basically immobilize them. Endured extreme pain for the first 30 minutes of running until it numbed out and became more tolerable.
That's insane.
He insists, no fake it till you make it bullshit, just pure grit and commitment.
And despite all that, he graduates BUDS.
Becomes the 36th African-American BUDS graduate. But he wasn't even happy at graduation. Annoyed by the celebration because he just wanted more of the same. Wanted to keep hunting impossible tasks.
Which links to his challenge, #5, visualization.
Exactly. He visualizes success daily. Paints these detailed mental pictures of overcoming obstacles, achieving goals, uses his darkness, his past pain, as fuel for these visualizations.
Well, it's not magic.
No, he's very clear. Visualization will never compensate for work undone. It's a mental rehearsal, aligning your mind and intentions, but you have to put in the actual grueling work too.
Okay, so he's a Navy SEAL, elite of the elite, but he doesn't stop there. He turns to ultra-endurance racing. What sparks the San Diego one-day run, 100 miles with no training?
The motivation shifted again. It wasn't about his own demons anymore. It was selfless. He decided to run it with less than a week's notice and 0 specific training for his fallen teammates.
From Operation Red Wings.
The mission in Afghanistan, June 2005. Marcus Luttrell was the lone survivor. His twin brother, Morgan, was actually in Goggins' BUDS Huya class. 19 special operators were killed in that engagement. A devastating loss.
So he ran to raise money for their families?
Yeah. Help cover basic needs, college funds. He talks about the Special Operations Warrior Foundation, calls them the interfering ant, because they provide such comprehensive support, helping over 12,280 kids of fallen warriors. It's a huge shift from his internal battles.
And during that brutal 100-miler, he developed the cookie jar concept.
That's right. When the pain got unbearable, he'd mentally dig into his cookie jar. What's in there? Every past accomplishment, every small victory, every time he overcame discomfort. Remembering those things shrinks the current challenge, gives you proof, I did that, so I can do this.
That's a really practical tool for anyone listening, remembering your wins.
Totally. It's about building your own evidence locker of resilience. Pull out those memories when you feel like quitting. Remind yourself you've conquered hard things before.
So he finishes the 101 miles, but the aftermath was serious.
Very serious. Symptoms of kidney failure. But he refused painkillers. He said the pain and suffering was his trophy ceremony. Confirmation he'd mastered his own mind. His takeaway: the human body can handle way more than we think.
But then the Badwater race director, Chris Kosman, wasn't impressed.
Nope. Goggins ran 101 miles in under 19 hours, zero training, and Kosman basically said, so what? The point of Badwater is to run for 24 hours straight.
And that just fueled Goggins more.
Oh yeah, classic Goggins. Instead of being discouraged, it just fired him up. Perfect example of transmuting negativity into resolve when you have that armored mind.
So for Badwater, the infamous 135-mile race across Death Valley in summer, he actually prepared.
Meticulously. Researched the course, mapped cooling stations, visualized everything, especially that brutal 9-mile descent off Town Pass.
Yeah.
Realized he needed more muscle, needed quads plated in steel.
And this ties into his get over it philosophy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The idea that our minds are incredibly powerful, but society, comfort, they make us soft, less capable. To break that, you have to go to war with yourself, forge a new identity.
And his training for Badwater was barbaric PT.
Yeah, his term. Solitary, brutal training. Getting up super early, knowing the pain was coming, forcing himself into it, trying to access that untapped 60% he believes we all have, slaying those 1-second turnitions where you choose comfort over progress. It's about proactively seeking discomfort to build strength.
What about the Badwater race itself? Any key moments?
Started at 6 a.m., he actually hiked the whole first 18-mile climb up to Town Pass. Smart energy conservation. He saw another runner, Carl Meltzer, using this goat-like technique, bouncing on his toes, barely touching ground, and just adopted it on the spot.
Adaptability.
And he saw a guy competing in a hand cycle. That really hit him. He realized, okay, talent wasn't required for this sport. It was all about heart and hard work.
The physical toll just kept coming, though. The Ironman crash.
Oof, yeah. Borrowed bike, front tire blows, he goes flying, somersaults, crashes hard, helmet shattered. Miraculously, no broken bones, but bleeding all over. Just gets up and keeps going, basically. Unbelievable focus.
Training for the Leadville 100 sounds just as intense.
Daily power, hiking up Colorado's 14,000-foot peaks, sprinting downhill, working out with local school teams to recruit pacers and crew, plus acclimatizing to the altitude. Just relentless.
This crazy scheduling, fitting it all in, that's challenge #8, compartmentalize.
Right. He uses his friend Mike, a finance guy in NYC, as an example. Mike wakes at 4 a.m. to run, bikes to work, fits in another treadmill run after work. By cutting out all the bullshit clogging his schedule. Scheduling priorities including rest and tight 15-30-minute blocks. It's extreme discipline and time management, ruthless prioritization.
Then comes a huge curveball, the heart condition.
Yeah, a major one. Started having chest pain. Discovered he had an atrial septal defect, an ASD, basically a hole between the upper chambers of his heart, something most people are born with, and it closes, but his didn't. Very dangerous for deep dives, could cause stroke or cardiac arrest. He called it a dirty bomb in his chest.
And the Navy wanted him to slow down.
Understandably. But his response, fuck no. He refused to scale back. Ended up needing a second heart surgery 14 months after the first, made him really question if he had to retire, had he done enough.
How did he handle recovery in that non-deployable role?
Patiently, surprisingly. Accepted the recruiting job, even though he craved combat. But he turned it into another mission, using his story to inspire potential recruits. Still finding purpose, even when limited.
And even with the heart condition, he attempted Delta Force selection.
He just smashed through it. Ruck marches, land navigation in freezing weather, tough terrain. Pushed so hard a doctor warned him about rhabdomyolysis, that dangerous muscle breakdown that can wreck your kidneys.
His mindset seems to be never blame circumstances.
Exactly. No blaming bad luck, no excuses. It's always about what are you willing to earn? When he decided to go for the pull-up world record, he didn't hope he could do it. He decided it was already mine, made it an inevitability in his own head. That's the power of that conditioned mind.
And when pain got really bad, he used his highlights loop.
Yeah, like a mental failsafe. When incapacitated by pain, he rapidly replay his achievements, beating obesity, divorce, the heart surgeries, learning to swim, running on broken legs, skydiving despite a fear of heights, technical diving, the 60-plus ultras he ran, winning some, the pull-up record, being a SEAL, public speaking, combat. It's like reminding his brain of all the evidence of his capability.
He also mentions learning from others, like Joseph, the mobility expert.
Helped him with severe hip tightness through really painful stretching, taught Goggins how to treat himself, shows that constant drive for self-improvement, addressing every weakness.
So he retires from the Navy in 2015, a chief. What a career summary.
Unprecedented, really. The only person known to have completed Air Force TCP training, Navy SEAL training, BUDS, and enduring 3 Hell Weeks, completing 2, and Army Ranger School. Just incredible.
And we get updates on others. Bill Brown, SBG, his brother.
Yeah, nice touch. Bill Brown, freak from Hell Week, became a lawyer, owned his failure. SBG is now an egghead with an edge in naval special warfare, doing analysis. And his brother, Trunnis Jr., got a PhD, and they reconnected after 15 years apart. Shows the ripples, the long-term impact.
His core philosophy seems captured in that what if question.
Totally. He says it's an exquisite fuck you to doubters, internal and external, a constant reminder of untapped potential, using those dark memories not as anchors, but as fuel. He even suggests your success can reflect off the walls they've built up around them, maybe sparking change in others. It's a challenging idea.
Are you living up to your what if?
And he's still going. Wildland firefighting at 43. Yep, back in 2018. Digging fire lines, harsh terrain, extreme physical labor, still finding purpose in the grind. And apparently running faster now, 7.15 miles compared to 8.35 before. The rage isn't always boiling over. He has to access it consciously now. But those experiences, they're seared into his brain like scar tissue, still driving him, still asking himself, and us, what if?
Wow. Okay, that was an incredible deep dive. You've heard just an astounding story of transformation from, the absolute depths of childhood trauma and self-doubt to mastering challenges most people can't even comprehend, physically and mentally.
We've really explored how that callous mind, that relentless self-discipline, and that powerful what-if attitude can unlock potential you didn't even know you had.
Yeah, and Goggins' journey, it's not just about being a SEAL or running crazy distances, is it? It's about pushing past what you think is your limit, that perceived 40%. It's about embracing discomfort, finding your own personal cookie jar of past wins to draw on.
Absolutely. And it's about auditing your life, your schedule, making time for what actually matters, and just relentlessly chasing excellence in whatever you do.
So here's something to leave you with, something to chew on. If one person can run 101 miles with zero training, overcome multiple heart surgeries, and constantly deliberately seek out the path of most resistance, what impossible challenge might you be capable of conquering if you stopped listening to that internal governor, that voice telling you to quit, and actually started to, schedule suffering into your own days?